Hey everybody, welcome back, fellow action figure aficionados, if you will, adult collectors. David Eon and the stunning Miss Lady Pop Hunter here.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year indeed. And today, as promised, as discussed, the somewhat exhaustive list of 90s properties action figures, and we're talking mint on card, that are cheap enough that if you wanted to pursue them for your collection, that it's within reason. So, because people get hung up on vintage a lot of the time, something I've talked about, and we're going to run through some images and stuff here in a few minutes. I can't afford vintage, that's why I buy the new stuff. I hear it all the time, and it isn't true. It is not true. And all of the stuff I'm going to show you from about a dozen companies that were manufacturing action figures and toys in the 1990s, several dozen examples from those companies where you're going to pay probably an average of between $10 to $50 a figure. And many of them are going to be properties and franchises you're going to recognize.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing here. And it took a while to compile this, but people have been asking me about this for a long time. Hey, what do you recommend? Hey, this and that. So here you go. And it's not absolutely everything. Like I said, several dozen examples, but it's not absolutely everything. And I'm sure there's more. And if you know of a few others, you can go ahead and put it in the comment section down below. And, you know, if you all like this, I can do this for the 80s, for the 2000s, for the 70s, and so on. Because aside from the really big ones, because, you know, it's like, oh, Hasbro or Raw G.I. Joe in the 80s and 80s Masters of the Universe are going to be expensive. And I think that's what puts a lot of people off, is there's certain properties that are just insanely expensive.
Yeah.
But there's many more that are not. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started with that. And we're starting off with Ace Novelty. And I know these look goofy, and they are basically trolls. Ace Novelty made the Stone Protectors trolls with almost Ninja Turtle-ish looking bodies in 1993. And these are figures that you can routinely pick up for like around the $30 range, if I remember correctly, a piece. It's relatively inexpensive. Also, Tales from the Crypt Keeper from Ace Novelty. These were made in 1993, and these average around the $25 a piece mark.
Oh, okay.
And I used to have a whole set of these. I got them from KB.
And sometime on eBay, you look up and find lots.
Yeah, you find a lot, and you could probably find, if you buy them in lots, they usually end up being cheaper.
Yeah.
But this is a classic character. Jumping to Bandai, the Beetleborgs. And this is from later. They made these between 95 to 97. And again, they haven't quite jumped off. You can still pick them up for less than $50 a piece.
Was that a cartoon?
Yeah, or a live action show.
Oh, okay.
A live action show. I think it was on Fox Networks at the time. Also from Bandai, who remembers the original Sailor Moon action figures? Or you could still kind of technically call these dolls. They're about 5 inches tall. This lot in particular, you know, I pulled a few of these pictures from completed auctions on eBay. This is $150 this lot sold for.
Oh, wow, okay.
And they made them from 93 to 96. Also from Bandai, here's a kicker, and this is what I always talk about when I talk about modern figures. These are the original American version Power Rangers from Bandai, and there you see the 5-inch and like the 9-inch figures in the triangle boxes up there. This whole lot sold for like $100 or $150.
Oh, wow.
Not the 90s Bandai original Power Ranger figures are cheaper than their modern counterparts. Even the anniversary edition reissues of these cost more.
Oh.
And they look exactly the same. Why wouldn't you want these? And they made these from like, what, 93 to 96-ish? I would rather have the originals, personally. How about Hasbro? James Bond Jr. Here's a cartoon everybody forgot about. James Bond Jr. made in 1991. These will sell for less than $50 a figure. Most of the time, they're under $50. Or Bucky O'Hare. Bucky O'Hare will sell for less than $50 a figure. unlike their counterpart, and it kind of surprised me, the cowboys from Moo Mesa, which look very similar to these, are quite surprisingly expensive, like 75 to 150 a piece. But these will still be under $50 a piece, and I think they did these in 1990s. I remember finding in 1990, I remember finding these in like dollar stores back in that time period.
9 figures it looked like.
Yeah. Well, they're not always the entire set,
Yeah.
but, you know, just so to get the idea.
idea.
Also from Hasbro, Conan the Adventurer, based on the after-school television
We
program.
watched that. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Bad.
These are 10-inch carded figures, so they can be tough to find on decent cards. Made in 1992. There's 8 figures and 2 vehicles or horses.
Yeah, because they only had horses.
Yeah, they only had horses, 2 horses. And again, most of the time they're less than $50 a figure, but they're starting to move up.
Who is this one right here?
That's Skulker.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
I know they don't hardly look like the show, but Hasbro G.I. Joe Hall of Fame, when they started making the 6th scale figures again. These figures don't cost much more than their original retail, even today. And they made these all through the 90s, from about 92 to 99 and then into the 2000s. And this whole lot, for example, this lot went out for $400, and that includes shipping
Oh, wow.
for all of those. If you wanted to go back and do the Hall of Fames, you could do it pretty cheap. And that includes their Action Man line in the orange boxes and their anniversary figures.
But some of those look like the same thing.
Yeah, this is not all of them.
Oh,
this is just a
okay.
lot, and there are some duplicates in this lot.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
but just to give you the idea of how cheap they actually are. Nightmare. This one surprised me.
Oh,
Nightmare Before Christmas. Both the 12-inch, the deluxe size series, and the 5-inch bendy figures on the cards. This lot sold for $200 with shipping. These were made in 1993, and again, so you're talking from like 20 to 50 a piece for figures if you were to seek them individually. And I think, except for some reason, the carded Oogie Boogie is expensive, and that's probably because he's so heavy he falls off the blister, if I was to hazard a guess. But I'm shocked that these are as cheap as they are, and they still make these.
Yeah, because Diamond Select makes a lot of
They do.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
So you could buy the originals for less than the modern ones. Again, Pirates of Dark Water, also from Hasbro, made in 1990. These are less than $50 a figure. They're cheap, and it's like, I know it's an obscure cartoon.
Yeah,
They're like an after-school style cartoon, but a lot of people might remember this, and this is what we're doing. Maybe we're jogging your memory, and you're like, God, I remember those. I can get these for less. Very underrated series. The G.I. Joe Sergeant Savage from 1994, when they stopped making the raw size O-ring figures and they switched to a 5-inch figure line. People didn't like that.
Oh, yeah?
And these figures have never jumped off. I see these at shows for $10 a piece. The vehicles can get expensive, but the figures are really cheap. You see the one up there has the VHS cassette with it because it came with a free episode of the show. Stargate, the film, not the TV show, but Stargate, the film action figures from 1994, action figures and vehicle playsets. Again, I mean, these are really cheap. I think they average around $20-25 a piece for these figures, and that's with the shipping. An interesting card, too, the way it's shaped almost like a fat keyhole.
Yeah, but to display that in the card would be a nightmare.
Well, you could just I'm sure it would fit into a clamshell, but you know. Because, yeah, you couldn't stand them up because they're rounded.
Yeah.
But you could put them in a clamshell, I'm sure.
Yeah, you can figure it out.
The original,
Ball
not the
Z.
best photo here, but these are the original Irwin Dragon Ball Zs, and this just coming in 1999, so they're just inside. They're not the best figures, but they're still less than $50 a piece. You pay more for that for a modern Bandai one.
Yeah.
You're 2-3 times that much. And so, yeah, they don't look as good as the modern Bandais, but they're classic. How about Reboot? Who remembers this? Also from Irwin. There's a couple of figures in this line that can get expensive. Probably Series 2 figures. I think this is, 1995? But most of these figures still come in at under $50 each. I used to watch this show. It's actually not a bad show. Completely computer-generated art, but, it's kind of cheesy now because it was the 90s, but it's still pretty good.
Oh, Aliens.
This one surprises me. Kenner's Aliens versus Predator line, because they made Aliens and Predators in the 90s, sorry. They started making them in, I think, 1994. These cost still, they're starting to move a little bit, but they cost less, most of them, than the modern versions. You will pay less for these than you will for the NECAs. And look at the card art. The card art on these is fantastic, and the box art.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised. And I used to have this whole set. It makes me want it again looking at this. Batman, the animated series.
I find that all the time at shows.
Yes.
And they are cheap.
This lot sold for $600 with shipping. Look at all of that. These are still coming in at under $50 a piece. Easy. Batman animated 2, animated movie figures, Batman and Robin, Batman Returns, the movie version figures, like you see some movie figures there. They still coming in at under 50. The Legends, which was started in 96, Batman, Legends of Batman figures are still easily 20 to 50 a piece.
And if you find them, because I've seen them at shows even cheaper than that. So if you look around,
keep your eyes out.
Yeah, keep your eyes out and look at other websites. Like, again, we always say Mercari and Amazon even. And the thing about Amazon, you just got to send a message to the seller.
Because, Amazon won't let you put a picture up anymore.
But the seller, because they know that they have no problem sending you pictures.
Yes, she's had some really good luck with that. The original Kenner, and we're into Kenner now, I forgot to mention, because we got into Kenner with Aliens.
Okay.
Kenner Gargoyles. The original Gargoyles, based on the TV series, which was, 1996-ish? The play sets are expensive. The figures are not. They're starting to move a little bit, but they're still under 50 a piece. So, again, they cost less than the modern NECA ones. The NECA ones look better, and they're a little bigger, but the original versions are still cheaper.
Yeah.
And again, I would rather have the originals, personally. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, based on the movie, 1991. These are average around 20-25 a piece.
I see those a lot at shows also.
Yeah, they practically give them away. They can't get rid of them.
Yeah.
The except for the vehicles, the vehicles and playsets and accessories can be expensive because people cannibalize them because they are recasts of parts from Star Wars: The Return of the Jedi.
Oh, okay.
So they reuse them. So the playsets and vehicles can get expensive in the boxes, but the carded figures are cheap. Kenner's The Shadow, based on the movie.
Oh, that looks cool.
Yeah, it was a very extensive line, really interesting card artwork. This particular lot sold for $250 with shipping.
That's not bad. I would have got that.
$94. I'm sorry,
Shadow.
1994 is when it came out. It was, again, based on the film. These figures routinely sell for around $25 a piece. And the vehicles don't go for much either. It's a nice set. Yeah, see, now you're inspired.
Yeah.
Because she likes the
I
Shadow.
don't need to be
You knew this was coming. Yeah, the Kenner.
That stuff
90s,
at the bottom is $1 now.
90s Star Wars figures. There's a couple of Black Series mixed in with this lot, and then you see Micro Machines, but you get the idea. This lot sold for $300 after shipping. The Kenner / Hasbro, because Hasbro had purchased Kenner in the middle of this. Star Wars releases from the 90s don't sell. If you were wanting to pick up on Star Wars and you're like, I don't want the modern stuff, but I can't afford the 70s and 80s Kenner stuff, the stuff that actually is expensive. 90s Star Wars is a good choice. And they're not bad looking figures. They utilize the same kind of photography in a lot of instances like the originals. It's an inexpensive alternative.
We see those cards at the bottom there all the time. And we were talking on a live stream when we went to a show. They said, you bring in an action figure or a toy,
You get a
them.
discount.
Yeah. And the bin was full of those. And then you still see them at shows for like $1, $2 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they're everywhere.
Yeah. They made too many and people didn't open them, and the value has stayed down for the most part. There are some exceptions, but otherwise. Now here's one.
I have that
The
whole
Kenner
set.
Swamp Thing, made in 1990. And this is more than the whole set. There's a couple of doubles there.
Yeah.
Including the vehicles. There's 3 vehicles and 2 play sets? Something like that.
Yeah, it looks like 3 vehicles and about 2 play sets.
The play sets are a little bit more. They run close to the $100 range. But the figures themselves are still under $50.
I bought, because I got this whole set.
Yeah.
I think the most I paid for a figure was $25. I got them between $25 and $15, and some of them I was able to make an offer.
Yeah.
Or the person had more than one, and I asked them to combine it and lower the price. Once it got to the vehicles and the play set. The play set is a tower
one
or
of them
something
was
another.
expensive, yeah.
Yeah, and when I say expensive, I think it was like $90.
Yeah.
But the vehicles, I think they were between $45 to $80. So they weren't bad. You're right about that. They weren't bad. I don't know now because I think I bought those about 2 years ago.
They haven't moved that much.
Oh, they haven't?
They really
Wow.
haven't. So I mean, they present well. They're interesting,
They
colorful
look
figures. They're
Yeah.
nice card art, and it's
Yeah.
still you'll pay less than $50 a piece.
Yeah, they look good. I got them.
Here's a surpriser for you. Kenner's Terminator that ran from 91 to 97 because they also have movie figures as well as stylized figures like these. These still you could pick up for between 20 to 50.
And you know
They
what
never went up.
I thought about too, looking at some of these, because we go to antique malls and stuff. And the ones that have toys, they usually have a bunch of these style toys, like those Star Wars, those Future Wars, because I've seen them a lot around. I never pay them any attention, but I see them.
But this is a cool looking line, and
that's Arnold. That's Terminator.
Yeah,
Okay,
and it's a classic franchise. That's not a bad pricing for original pieces like this.
Yeah.
You'll pay more for the modern ones. Once again, they'll cost more. They look better, but they cost more. Kenner, The Mask, Jim Carrey's The Mask, the first film.
Yeah.
Which was 1995. These figures, I mean, these are giveaway prices on these figures.
I see
they never
those a
jump
lot
off.
at shows too.
Definitely around the $20 mark. Mm-hmm. And VR Troopers, another live action show. Saban's VR Troopers, also from Kenner, came out in about 1994. Handful of action figures and a few vehicles. These are cheap. Mm-hmm. These are very inexpensive figures. Very generic with the card, obviously.
Yeah, the card looked kind of lame.
If you're into that sort of thing, if you remember the show, it's good pricing on it. Mm-hmm. Kenner's Waterworld, based on the film. A generic kind of cards, but these are cheap figures. The play sets are cheap too. Came out in 95, I think. People don't pay any attention to these figures. And I've seen these at shows too, and they're cheap. How about Matchbox? Matchbox Stingray.
The TV show?
Jerry Anderson, based on the Jerry Anderson Super Marionation puppets.
Okay, because they had a show Stingray in the 80s.
Yeah, that's a different Stingray. Mm-hmm. These came out in 92. And again, nobody pays any attention to these. As popular as Jerry Anderson stuff is, everybody really wants like the 60s and 70s Jerry Anderson toys. These are from the 90s. They get no attention. And they're relatively inexpensive, as are the Thunderbirds, which came out in 94. This whole lot's probably like $70, you know? Wow. I could see it going out for $70. It's so low. And I'm a fan of Jerry Anderson. Mattel. Aladdin action figures based on the movie. These came out in 92.
Wow, I didn't know they had action figures.
Any of Mattel's Disney action figure properties from the 90s are dirt cheap.
Wow.
The Tarzan, Lion King, Aladdin, like you see here. these are dirt cheap figures, you know, $10-15 a piece. They don't move. But so if you're into that sort of thing, hey, why not?
Yeah.
A generic card there, but you know, it's okay. Demolition Man.
Oh wow, they made an action figure for everything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was the thing.
Yeah.
Demolition Man, Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes. These figures have not ever really garnered much attention. 1993, these are probably averaging around $25-30 a piece. And Mattel's The Flintstones, and these are based on the film, the live-action film. You see Rosie O'Donnell there in the lower left-hand corner.
Yeah.
And what was it, Rick Moranis and whoever else. These figures, this whole lot, including the Pizza Hut glasses and everything, sold for $150 with shipping.
Wow. That's a good price.
Yeah. And 1993? Yeah, if you're into that sort of thing, I know they look really goofy, but it's an inexpensive alternative.
Yeah, and some people really like that movie.
They do.
Or they like the Flintstones, period.
Yeah.
So, Hook.
Hook, Robin Williams, the Hook from Mattel, 1991. Again, this is an action figure series that gets no love at all. It's been completely forgotten and doesn't sell for much. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Last Action Hero. Last Action Hero, 1993, just like Demolition Man. It's been just forgotten. It doesn't sell for hardly anything. These are inexpensive, cheap figures. Mattel's Real Monsters, 1995, I want to say.
I have some of those.
You're missing one from your collection, I think. One from your set.
I don't have that many of them. I thought I only had 4.
No, you have like 7.
Oh, wow.
You're missing one. I think there's 8 or 9 in the set, off the top of my head. But again, these are like $15-20 a piece.
I used to watch that. I used to love that show.
The show was funny.
It was.
It was funny. It's an underrated show.
Yeah, it came on with the WB Kids, with Animaniacs and Tiny Toons and all of that.
I love the fact that the old KB price tag with the reduced red line is still on it. Here's one that people have completely forgotten, based on I think it was a Saturday morning cartoon, Captain Simeon and the Space Monkeys from Mattel, 1996.
You can't even see what are they?
It's a terrible photograph. They're different types of monkeys. They're each in a little seat or something. They come with a lot of accessories, but they're very inexpensive figures. And we'll jump to
Spawn.
McFarlane. Yeah, surprise, McFarlane's Spawn line that ran from, I believe, 94 to 97. The original Spawn line. This lot, for example, with shipping, sold for $200.
I used to see Spawn a lot, super cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen them in a while.
The original figures from the 90s sell for less than the modern ones. These, if you got these at a show, you'd probably pay $10-15 a piece for them. And I remember they were hot when they first came out. And some of these, they were a comic book back there. They came with a comic with them, with or without a comic. He's the one that started all that with action figures. You know, let's change the color. Like you see a gold and a regular version of the same figure there, with and without comic book. He did a lot of that kind of like bait and switch crap with the action figures. But to this day, they hold no value. So if you're into Spawn, the original line is very cheap. This is from a company called Playmates, and this is Warriors of Virtue, which is a film that came out in '97, and we're talking like $5-10 a piece for these figures.
Wow.
People don't even remember the film Warriors of Virtue. It was a weird movie too. And the Coneheads.
Oh, they even had action figures.
Well, they had a film in '93, a live action film.
Wasn't that a TV? No, I do remember the film. Okay,
Yeah.
It was a film.
Before that, it was a Saturday Night Live sketch.
That's right. I knew I saw it on TV.
It was a regular sketch in the '70s. Dan Aykroyd created the Coneheads, and you know they were aliens that accidentally crash landed on Earth, and they wanted to pretend to be humans, but they had these huge, obvious weird heads, and people would ask them, "You something different about you? Where are you from?" "Oh, we are from France. That is our motto. We are from France," or something like that. But they made a live action film in the '93. It's a goofy movie.
Yeah.
But the figures, long forgotten, and we're into Playmates now. This is a Playmates action figure series. Playmates Dick Tracy. There's only one figure in this entire series that's worth anything, and that's the blank, and I think it was a mail order figure.
Okay.
The rest of the figures are dirt cheap. This lot sold for $200 with shipping. The blank in 1990, it was an okay movie, an attempt to bring Dick Tracy back, but the figures are very inexpensive. Very inexpensive. Earthworm Jim, and this is just starting to move. 1994 Earthworm Jim figures, for the most part, can still be picked up for under $50 a piece.
Yeah.
And I like this series myself. There's the Playmates Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon series. I think this lot sold for $30.
Wow.
1996. Again, and they look kind of goofy, but, you know, they're kind of chunky figures.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cheap.
What's that based on?
I think it was another attempt at a Flash Gordon cartoon.
I know they had a
Yeah.
90s cartoon where Flash Gordon was like a kid or something.
I don't remember.
Well, we remember we started to watch it.
This might be it. This might be it. Playmates The Monster Force from 1994. Another cartoon series. Generic card. Interesting looking figures. 1994, $150 this lot sold for with shipping. They're cheap figures. They roughly run about $25 a piece. Ronin Warriors from I think 95. Ronin Warriors used to come on right after Sailor Moon. Playmates. These are starting to move though. But you can still get them for around $50 a piece, which is a third or less than the modern figures.
Oh, wow.
The modern figures will run $150 to $200 a piece. And again, the modern figures are better detailed, but these are sturdier figures, and they are the originals. How about Playmates Seaquest? Who remembers that show? Seaquest live action primetime television program about a submarine, made in 1993. And again, these figures have been lost to time. They're worthless now. I remember that dolphin used to sell for quite a bit back in the 90s. People couldn't find it. Playmates Skeleton Warriors, 1990, based on the after-school television program. These still sell for about $25 to $50 a piece. And, of course, you knew the Playmates Star Trek line had to be in here somewhere. A massive, extensive line that started in 92 and ran all the way through the 90s, covering Next Generation, original 60s Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, every Star Trek franchise, movie figures. Playmates did it all. They made well over 400 figures. I think 420, 430 figures in the line, plus vehicles and play sets. This lot sold for $300 with shipping. And again, these are ones that you find like in the bins at shows.
Yeah.
You probably could pick them up for like $3 to $5 a piece. They cost less than the modern reproductions, also sold by Playmates. Playmates, I think the modern ones are about $13 to $15.
Yeah, we saw some in Walmart today.
$13 to $15 they sell for on a smaller card that looks like these cards. The figure is a little different. They streamlined it so it's not so chunky, but they're very similar. Tiger.
That's the set I want.
Yeah, Tiger, Captain Planet. The first wave still sells for about under $50. The second wave is expensive because the second wave was cut off. They stopped making them. And I think this is from 1991. They're starting to move a little bit, but the first wave is still under $50. Also from Tiger, Inspector Gadget.
I see that a lot at
1992. These will sell for under $50. And they're hard to find. These are really rare. The only one that's expensive is the Dr. Claw. With they cover his face so you can't
with that
see it.
big old Oh, well, you couldn't see his face on the show either.
He has a face, though. When you open that, he's got a face.
Oh, does he?
Which makes, because so many people bought it and opened it to see what he supposedly looked like, which was ugly. On the card, he's expensive. He'll be about $100.
Oh,
but the
wow.
other figures in that line are around $50. Tiger, Land of the Lost Series 2. People completely forgot about this series. This is from 1992 again. And you can get these figures really, really cheap. They're probably worth like $10 a piece. And now we're into Toy Biz. And I couldn't even find carded examples. That's how rare this is. But they're worthless. This lot sold for $60 with the shipping. 1996 Toy Biz Battle Builders figures. Very rare to find on the card, and they don't sell. Also, the Bots Master figures. I couldn't even find current or carded examples of this on eBay, hardly. 30, I think they go for around 30 a piece on the card.
Oh, wow.
1994. The Toy Biz Deluxe 10-inch figures. They don't sell. I mean, even at a show, you could probably pick these up between 10 and 20 a piece. The Toy Biz The Fantastic Four. I mean, these are sold all through the 90s. These original Toy Biz carded figures sell less than the modern Marvel Legends figures.
I see those a lot at shows.
Yeah, the original Fantastic Four, and they're decent looking figures. The Ghost Riders from the later 90s, or the how about these? The Hercules. Hercules figures are super cheap. These are probably worth $10 a piece. Hercules and Iron Man. These are nice looking figures that got chrome snap-on accessories.
That's what I was about to say. A little exosuit.
Yeah, these are probably worth like $15 each. Amazing Spider-Man. These are the Marvel lines. Again, they don't sell, but you're gonna go, or you'll get the retro carded one. You'll pay more for them on the modern retro cards, or the Spider-Man lines.
Yeah, that's back.
Yeah, and again, you will pay more for the modern ones. Or this is a weird one. Toy Biz Space Strikers. These are ultra rare. There's probably like 2 carded ones for sale on eBay right now. $20. $20 they go for. Xena, worthless.
I remember Xena.
1995 photograph cards. They don't sell. They do not sell at all.
Xena was a cheesy show,
It
like
was.
Hercules.
It was a very cheesy show.
Yeah.
Toy Biz The X-Men. Again, this lot sold for $300 with shipping. You'll pay less for these than you will for the modern reproductions.
Yeah, because that's at Walmart now.
Yeah, and again, I mean, the new ones look a little better, but
that's the thing with...
I'd rather have the originals.
But that's the thing with the newer ones, because, you know, they update the card, which sometimes the card are a heavier stock. And then the figures, they'll update the face sculpt or something like that. And sometimes it looks better.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I see what you're saying. If you want it, you can afford it.
Yeah, you can afford the vintage because hey,
Some, not all.
90s is vintage.
Yeah, 90s is what, 30 years ago.
Yeah. Toy Island RoboCop figures from 1994 still sell for under $50 a piece.
Rat-a-tat-tat.
Yep. I think these are cap firing. They might be, if I remember correctly, they're die cast. Are they die cast figures?
Yeah,
I don't
that's
recall.
3.75.
Or oh no, it's electronic. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I think they're 5-inch.
Well, they look small.
Yeah. I could be wrong. Tyco, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Who remembers this? Cadillacs and Dinosaurs from 1993. They don't sell. They don't sell. They are cheap. Tyco, the Crash Test Dummies are very inexpensive figures still. This lot sold for $300 with shipping. I used to have this series. Some of them come with VHS tapes. Tyco, the Double Dragon. I think these are based on the movie. 1992. Again, they don't sell. They're probably in the 25 a piece range. Here's an oddball. Warner Brothers Babylon 5. A immensely popular show in the 90s. Very popular show. These are from 1997. They're worthless, and they come in 2 different sizes. There's another a larger figure that comes in a tube.
Okay.
And they don't sell. They're probably worth 10 each. And you know that'll do. That'll do.
Yeah.
It's a lot of options out there. And again, this is just looking at 90s examples. When you sit there and you tell yourself, I can't afford vintage. Yes, you can. And I hope you got something out of that. If you know of some more vintage 90s properties that you think are relatively inexpensive, go ahead and post it in the comment section down below for the other people who are watching. If you like that series, let me know also. Give us a thumbs up and tell us in the comment section, and I will try to do some more. So if that's it, then what more can we say? But thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.